Hello, magical people. My name is Lou, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be doing a single reading for the collective, Timeless, and we are going to be looking at what will come from this. So a very specific question. What is the this that this is referring to? Could be pretty much anything. So take what resonates, leave the rest. It could be a situation or a circumstance or an energy or a relationship or a moment in a relationship. Just the general question is what will come from this? And we're going to be doing, as per usual, a combination of both tarot and oracle cards. So with that brief introduction, let's go ahead and dive right into it and see what we see. So, like I said, we're going to be looking at at a specific situation. And so first, we're going to be taking a look at and answering the larger question of what will come from this. We're going to take a look at, pull a couple of cards for the history of what this is, or what the energy of this situation or circumstance or energy or moment is all about. So we're going to pull just two cards. This deck is a little harder to shuffle in this way. There we go. That's a little bit better. So two cards here for what will come from this. All right, so we'll take this one first. The Five of Pentacles, or I'm sorry, this was the history. Turmoil and the Devil. And let's also pull an oracle. Oh, goodness, you just jumped right out. Pull a couple of oracle cards. Two just popped right out, so I'm just going to use those because I'm hearing that they are the right ones. So the two oracle cards that came out were sexuality and mediumship. So again, sort of looking at the history of what this is and what's coming, first of all, with this particular situation with both the Devil card and with the Five of Pentacles, is that, there's been a lot of turmoil. There's been a feeling of lack, or a feeling of, since it is Pentacles, it could literally mean like poverty, like feeling like you don't have enough resources, financial or otherwise, that has been sort of in the lead up to this moment. But it could also just be more energetically even too, in that there's lots of turmoil that has resulted in a state of mind where there's lack, regardless of whether or not their actual resources are there, and whether or not it's actually like a true, like, poverty situation. Like in one of the Rider-Waite decks, this card is often two people walking, or this card is two people walking right outside of a church, and one of them has crutches, and they're very obviously down on their luck. So while it can mean that, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that. It can even just be that, because there are these two people that are in this card down on their luck, but and they're walking by a church, which is, oftentimes seen as a place where you can get comfort and where you can get resources and needs met, and they're just walking right by it, rather than actually going inside. So it's not even just necessarily what your resources look like on a material plane, but also the state of mind that goes around it. And sometimes when we're in a place of feeling like there's a lot of turmoil or a lot of chaos, or like we aren't resourced enough, there is a feeling of lack, then that can actually be a very limiting belief, and actually keep us from being able to see solutions. And particularly with this coming up with the Devil card, the Devil card, which in this deck looks like this, but the Devil card oftentimes, it speaks to an unhealthy dynamic or shadow behavior that we're not aware of, or addictive behavior, or it can even be, self-soothing, gone amok. It's a lot of times it shows up as a like maladaptive type of behavior. So like what I'm really seeing with the history of what will become of this, what this is, what I'm seeing is with the history is that like it's taken you a while to get here. There's been having to really shift your mind frame, and with the two oracle cards coming up of sexuality and mediumship, what I'm seeing is that like in the past it may have been other people, perhaps even a romantic partner, that made it difficult for you to get to this place, you know, or made it difficult to move towards the culmination of the this that has now arrived, this particular moment. And also with the mediumship card, you know, I'm really seeing, and it's interesting here, it kind of looks a bit butterfly-ish to me here. So I'm feeling that, like, you know, you really needed a mind shift. Like, you really needed a whole mind shift. And it's possible with the sexuality card that perhaps something, some aspect of yourself that you were repressing actually got in the way of you arriving at this moment. And now I'm just going to share a little personally here. So, you know, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this reading, and the reason why I wanted to do it as a reading for the collective, was because I wanted to do a reading for myself, and so I wanted to include myself in a singular collective. Because I've got a little bit of skin in this reading, I guess. You know, like I have a particular this that I'm thinking of, you know, and in my case, it's, you know, part of this continued process of stepping out of my shell and putting myself out there. Like with YouTube is obviously one of the ways that I'm doing that. But also today, in just a few hours, I am going to be going to, as a vendor, my very first like makers market, and it is very scary, and it is very vulnerable and very tender. And so, like, if I'm looking at this reading for myself here, you know, I can see for myself, and again, take what resonates and leave the rest. But you know, what kind of came into play in keeping me personally in this place of self-limiting beliefs, and not being able to see my own light, being tied to or over-identifying with more shadow aspects of my personality, was that, you know, the reason it's taken me so long to get here is that, yeah, I really needed a shift in the way of thinking. And for me, you know, mediumship in the terms of being a medium for all of the energies around me, less in the more specific mediumship way where, you know, channeling spirits, but more in the terms of like an empathetic sort of mediumship where it's just I'm always running other people's energy through me, or, you know, used to be that way more. I've really been working on it for the last several years. And, you know, with the sexuality, like that personally in myself was something that I repressed for a really long time. I didn't come out until much later in life than a lot of people do. And that, you know, not being able or willing to separate my energy out from others, not being able or willing to see my own self as a cohesive whole, and feeling like coming from a place of turmoil and lack and having a lot of those shadow aspects and maladaptive behaviors, absolutely this got in the way of me leading up to this moment now. So now, I hope that wasn't too much of an overshare. Like I said, you know, these are just energies that I'm reading, so there's literally an infinite number of ways that they can be interpreted. So please don't take the specifics of my example too much, and try and apply it to the energies that and how they manifest more specifically in your life. I certainly don't want to be limiting in the way that my readings are available to people. So now we're going to take a look at the current energy of the situation. And one we have is the revolution. Sorry about that. I had an issue with my video and had to stop it for a minute and plug in my phone. Anyhow, so we have the Revolution card, which in this deck is the Tower, and also the Four of Pentacles. And I love this coming up as current energy because it's letting things fall away that are not built on a solid foundation, and instead replacing that information or replacing that situation with concrete real world choices and moves and actions that are actually very stable and very building. And in this deck, it's Arsenal is the one that's put together, and it's very much about getting your resources, you know, retaining your resources and gathering in your resources. And so I love the idea that we've come out of this place of feeling of lack, and now the energy that's coming up is letting fall down what needs to fall down for the purpose of building greater things going forward, and not just going forward, but actually being in that place of building your new foundation. Let's see if we can pull a couple of oracle cards for the current energy as well. This is really, really beautiful though, and this deck is really truly gorgeous. And one of the things that I really like about this card is the fact that they called it revolution because it is a revolutionary, it's a big like sea change in your energy, and a reprioritization. Again, getting rid of, this can show up in terms of getting rid of programming that no longer serves you, for the purpose of building a sense of self and a sense of identity that is more built on appreciating the gifts that you have and the skills that you have, so that going forward you're making good choices based on your sense of self and stability in self, and making good choices going forward that are going to serve you. Because one of the things with the Tower card or the Revolution card is that it's not just about things falling apart, it's about things falling apart that have to fall apart because they are unsustainable. So it's not that there's not a lot of chaos that can come from that, or a lot of upheaval. But, I think a lot of times people have a somewhat negative connotation of the Tower card. And frankly, it's one of my favorites because it means that the chaos and the turmoil is for a greater purpose, for more expansion, for more growth. And the first oracle card that's coming up here is Up, which is obviously, we're seeing an elevation from where we've been in the past. And then the second card that came up is Voice. Is voice. So I feel like at this current time, as you're moving into this situation, what will come from this, as you're moving closer to this, it's really from a place of greater empowerment. Your sense of self, the amount of love you have for yourself, the amount of compassion that you have for yourself. There's been a lot of transformative information or transformative circumstances that have come through, and it's been a time also of like really pulling in your resources and building that stability around you, and doing that for yourself. So it's very much, 4 is very much a number of building and stability, and that you're kind of like stepping up. As you're stepping up, you're also actually stepping out. So using your voice to speak more authentically your own truth. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, so far this is going pretty well. In terms of answering my own question about my own very specific situation, I am feeling pretty good about it. So let's see what the energies that are going to be coming at us. And this is going to be pretty short term. So this is a timeless reading. So whenever you come across it, it is for you. And it doesn't matter what day of the week or month of the year or year of the millennium that it may be. This is a timeless reading. So this is going to be energies that are coming at you in the short term, though, like over the next couple of days, possibly even couple of hours. And we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Hot damn. We've got the Wheel of Fortune and we've got the World. And at the bottom of the deck, we've got the King of Fire. So the Wheel of Fortune, having a cycle ending, having a cycle being ended, which means a new cycle beginning, and sort of just there being potential, there being an opportunity there. There sometimes can be some chaos. And like with this card, I always am reminded of that playground structure thing where it would spin, and if you were hanging on to the outside, then you were really affected by the centrifugal or centripetal, I can never remember which is which, but you're really affected by the forces that are happening from the spinning. But if you move towards the center of that circle, you can actually, there can still be all of it can still be spinning at the same speed, but your experience of it is much more centered and grounded, if still dizzying. So I feel like with the Wheel of Fortune card, that's just a lot of the times the picture that comes into my mind is that there's things happening all around, and it maybe feels a little chaotic, but if you can move into your center, move into that place, then it's not that it will stop the change from happening around you. It's just that you are more well placed to cope with it and to use the changing circumstances to your advantage. And with the World card coming up, I mean, this is the 20, or the end of the major arcana. So like this is the end of a major cycle, you know. And also, like, I just, again, this deck is just absolutely beautiful, and I love this rendition of the World because there is so much, like, you can tell that this person has so much love and compassion, not only for themselves in the way that they're holding themselves, but also you can see it coming out at the world on their face, on his face, and you can just see it in his expression. And I feel very much that, yeah, like, this is energies that are coming at you are possibilities, like amazing possibilities. Like this, you know, it's moving out of this space of limited thinking, moving out of this space of self-limiting beliefs, moving out of this space of feeling bound, you know, by that devil energy, and maybe feeling confused by energies around you. And, you know, whether it was your own sexuality or just somebody that you had an intimate relationship with, even emotional intimacy, you know, there was something about that energy of all of that that really kept you from moving forward for a long time to this place, and to this circumstance. But, you know, now you've got the Wheel of Fortune and the World showing up as energies that are coming towards you. So I really feel very much that, like, that is a state of almost being able to write your own ticket is kind of what's coming to mind. Like, the possibilities are expansive, and this is going to open new cycles and new doors. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like, either, you know, for myself and answering my own question, or for you, like, you know, being a reading for the collective. You know, it's really kind of hard to say, but the card that just popped out here is Manifest, and like, just look at that rainbow, like, so much beautiful energy coming out here. And then Celestial too, which, yeah, like, I feel, oh, interesting, like, I feel like there's a lot of repetition in just the shapes in these two cards. So, you know, your spirit team is really showing up here with the sparkle and telling you that, you know, what's going to come from this, good things, new opportunities to learn, opportunities to expand, opportunities to seize the world and the life that you want to have and take active steps towards making that reality, towards manifesting that. So I feel like overall, and again with the King of Wands, or the King of Wands being the underlying energy here, you know, this is a person who has mastered the element of fire, which is all about intuition, creativity, passion, all of that. And so I feel very much like, you know, you've moved kind of out of a place with regards to this circumstance, not necessarily with regards to your whole life, but you know, you moved out of this place of second guessing and not feeling like you could do it. And ooh, as I'm saying that, my ear is starting to ring, and feeling like you just couldn't, you didn't have it available to you, you weren't strong enough, you weren't just not seeing your own light, just not being able to own your own light. And from that, you've moved through this space of revolution and the tower moment and rebuilding and using your voice and being your authentic self. And now coming towards you, we've got the Wheel of Fortune and the World and Manifest and Celestial. So like, yeah, the universe is showing up. Like, it hasn't all been for nothing. Like, I wonder for some of you if this circumstance, this situation will be, you know, maybe it's somebody that you have had feelings for a while, and something will finally move forward because you finally realized maybe it's even not a particular person, maybe it's just the energy of being in a relationship and feeling before that like you weren't good enough, or believing bad programming that you got early on, and you recently come through this period of real transformation and rebuilding your own foundation and learning how to find and use your voice. And that can ripple out into the world and change the way that we interact with the world around us, which can bring new energies to us. So maybe it's a situation like that. Maybe it's a job for you and you just recently had an interview, and it took a long time for you to really believe that you have the value that you do, and you really made that shift and had that transformation, and that gave you the confidence to go out and shoot for this job that you wanted, something that's closer to your dream job, that's going to put you on that path of being able to create the world that you want to live in, and having all of those opportunities available to you. So again, this can show up in so many different ways, and I don't even know why I picked up this deck, I guess just to shuffle, but since I've got 2 more cards that popped out while I was yammering on at you, and they happen to be the Ace of Pentacles or the Ace of Roots, which is all about a new attitude, a new project, a new job, a new material circumstance coming at you in the form of a gift from the universe. So whatever this circumstance is, this situation is for you, and at the bottom of the deck we have the 8 of Cups, or in this deck the 8 of Horns, which is all about moving away from things that no longer serve you, or moving away from a painful experience for the purpose of finding your full cups, like striking out into the horizon to move away from our losses from the past and take the lessons that we needed to from them, but leaving all of that in the past. So, well, I mean, this bodes well for my craft fair this afternoon. I hope that this also resonated for you and the situation or circumstance or moment of time that you had in mind when I mentioned the title of this reading and what we'd be talking about. I hope that you also find that it similarly resonates for you. This speaks so much to my own personal experience. I hope I didn't end up accidentally doing just a reading for me, but I don't think that's how it works. I think the fact that I was called to make this video and called to post it is indicative of the fact that it is meant for other people out there. So I hope you are one of those people. And like I said, I would love to hear from you. So if you have any stories to share or any comments to make, please feel free to do so. I think this is a pretty exciting time. Looks like you've really put in a lot of work to get here, both energetically and physically. And so I hope that whatever this thing is for you, that it works out well. Don't forget to be kind to yourself. Don't forget to be gentle with yourself. And until next time, take care.